Well. Beautiful people, best damn nation. It is Wednesday, and you know what time it is. It is the Best Damn Wrestling Podcast. I am your humble host, Brian Renegade, and with me, I have the best damn crew. First of all, if you see this man in a dark alley, run. He will beat you up and throw your ass in the trash can. He is the green-eyed bandit. He fights people. Sometimes he bites people. He's your mama's favorite wrestler, and he can whoop your daddy ass, the one and only Roosevelt. What's happening?
What's up? Brian, hey man, whose daddy's ass I need to beat down for this cold ass winter?
Jack Frost, Santa Claus, whoever you want to blame.
Let him know I'm on my way. I'm about to pull up on him because it's cold.
Well, you got to shovel the snow out your driveway first. Oh man, listen, man, I'm so excited. We got a special guest in the house, a young superstar in the making. Roosevelt, can you please do the due diligence and introduce our esteemed guest?
No, man, I ain't introducing this man. No, I don't want to.
You better introduce this man. This man needs no introduction, but you need to introduce.
All right. So, as you guys know, there's not many people that I say I put my hand on because I see something in them. And when I saw this young guy, I was like, yo, this dude is going to be something special. And I'm going to get my hands on him in some kind of way. And I did. He tried to run, but he didn't go too far. He didn't go too far. He's like, hey, man, hey, why you hold? Never mind. Okay, it's yours. Don't worry about it. It's not long now. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Alex Bryant, one of the top talent there is in professional wrestling. I'm not even going to say in the region of North Carolina, South Carolina, in the South. I'm going to say in the business of professional wrestling. You guys are going to get the opportunity to get to know more about this young, spectacular talent. Ladies and gentlemen, Alex Bryant. What up, boy?
Oh, man, I don't even know what I can say after that introduction. That's pretty wild right there, man. First off, let me just say, man, thank y'all. I really appreciate y'all having me on, man. I love the platform. I've seen clips from other shows. Y'all have had some of my people on here for sure. So when I got asked to be on, I was like, hell yeah, of course. There's no way I could say no to that. Plus, if I say no to Vic, he just going to find me and we're going to have to fight again. So I was like, well, I might as well just jump on there, and say whatever they let me say. So, man, appreciate y'all boys letting me be on your platform for real.
Oh, man, it's a blessing for you to be here, my brother. Man, how you feeling, man?
Man, I'm feeling good. Coming off of a pretty good 2024. I did a lot of things that I wanted to do. I was able to go out west and, able to hook up with some people from NWA and stuff like that. And had some pretty good matches, man. Didn't really do much with titles and stuff, but I didn't really want to focus my 24 on that, but 25, man, I'm looking to expand a little more. So I'm feeling pretty good, man. My training regimen's changed, my diet's changed, my sleep schedule, and honestly and truthfully, man, I think that anybody that has to stand across from me in 25 is probably going to have to face the most dangerous and most prepared version of Alex Bryant that there's ever been. So while it's good for some, it'll be bad for others.
Absolutely. Sound like some belts and some paychecks is in your future, sir.
I'm going on a collection tour.
Oh, man, there you go. The Alex Bryant collection tour. Make it happen. Yeah. Oh, man. Look, I'm so excited, man. Let's start from the beginning, man.
Okay.
When did you fall in love with wrestling?
Honestly, man, I would have to say, now if you ask my mom, she'll tell you something a little different. But as far back as I can actually recall, seeing something that made me just fall in love with wrestling was I remember my dad had a VHS tape of WrestleMania 14. And so I got a chance to see, was it 14? It was 14, right? I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I could see. Yeah, WrestleMania 14, because it was Austin versus HBK in the main event. And that was kind of the turning of the tide. The Austin era has begun, stuff like that. And then I remember seeing that. And then my mom was a huge Rock fan. So I had all of his VHS tapes and the action figures and stuff, and I could just remember seeing him come out, and it wasn't even for a match. He just came out to do a promo, and of course, I didn't know what a promo was back then, but he just had that aura, and I was like, man, this is awesome. And then I just could never pull myself away from it. So from about, I would say somewhere around early to mid year 1998 up until now, man. I mean, the love has never died. I mean, I probably got a little distracted away from it when I was in high school, just playing sports and hanging out with my friends and stuff. But that love for wrestling never died, you know. And I've actually made a ton of friends through being a fan of wrestling before actually ever becoming one myself. So, yeah, man, 98, dude. I've loved it since 98.
Oh man, it sounds like Common. I used to love. Oh man.
Right.
So what sports did you play in high school?
I played football, baseball. I did amateur wrestling, and I ran track for 1 year. I was fast, and I could learn the game. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you guys and tell you guys I was like the greatest football player or baseball player. I was a good athlete. I wasn't necessarily just good at a sport. Had a decent amateur career for a couple years. Eventually got away from that. Only played baseball for like a year or two. And then I only did it because my buddies did it. Football was actually my first passion, but I'm not 6'5", 280. So,
Okay.
I did what I could, man. And high school sports introduced me to exercise and working out. I won't say nutrition, but I had a very old school coach that was just blood, sweat, and respect, man. Like he was saying that before The Rock ever put it on a t-shirt. I'm sorry. He was screaming that when I was, coming out of middle school into high school. He was telling us that, if you're going to play on this team, you're going to work out and stuff. So very active. Some of my buddies' dads were our coaches and assistant coaches and stuff. And then my head coach, he actually played, Division II football, and he did strength and conditioning. So that was my introduction to a different caliber and a different level of athletics.
You know what? You mentioned something that I don't think gets mentioned a lot, which is the mentorship of men. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
How
Yeah.
important was that in your life? Because you mentioned that you had a great coach and role models around.
So I come from a very big family that is also extremely old school and extremely Southern. There's a lot of military in my family. But I was raised in a very strict household, and my father wasn't around, but I had, oh my gosh, six uncles, and so they kind of helped raise me and my brother, and taught us what it was to be men. Stand up straight, walk with a purpose. Greet people, how to shake a man's hand. Standing on your word as a man, and just kind of raising us from a very young age. So that as we became teenagers and as we started facing the world when they weren't around to protect us, we would know how to protect ourselves. And then having a single mother for a very long time until she married my stepfather, she would always preach about, how my granddad was and the type of man he was and stuff like that. So all those things kind of influenced me. And then I was very fortunate to have some very close friends who their fathers were extremely involved in all of our lives. And some of them took me under their wing and they taught me a lot of things about being men as well. And so I was very blessed to have those type of men around me in my life, especially in my younger years, my brother as well.
Absolutely. Oh man, go ahead, Roosevelt. I know you got some burning questions for me.
So talk about your transition into professional wrestling once you got the opportunity to step into a ring to start training. What was that like for you?
So it's crazy. So how I became a professional wrestler is I have a cousin who's been on and off involved in the business for about 25 years. And when I was in high school, he would talk to me about it. And, I thought about it, but I wasn't really sure where to go. And the area that I lived in South Carolina now, like now there's a company. But when I was first being introduced to the business, there wasn't. And I was actually doing acting and modeling, and then COVID hit. And I was really sitting on my ass, not doing anything. And I was watching some old stuff. And I was like, man, let me put in a call to him. So I called him. And he said, I'm actually headed up to North Carolina for a show this weekend. Why don't you come check it out? That was February of 2020. And I thought I knew what I was stepping into. But when I went to that indie show with him and I looked at it and I met everybody and saw kind of how they put it on and everything. And I started training the next day. And dude, I'm going to be honest, I almost quit my first week. You know, I thought that I had been through some stuff with, you know, baseball workouts and football. And, you know, I feel like amateur wrestling is one of the toughest sports you can ever compete in. But man, climbing through the ropes in a professional wrestling ring, having watched it my entire life, it was nothing like I thought it was. It was it's mentally, physically, emotionally, it strains you at every end that you turn to. So it was difficult just because it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. But once I accepted that and I stepped back and I was able to see it for what it really was, and then again, being placed around certain people that were there to kind of tell me, hey, I know you look frustrated. I know you don't understand it. Things come in time. So the transition was a little rough on me. I'm not going to sit here and try to toot my horn like, oh man, I ran right in there. And no, man, not at all. It was definitely difficult for sure.
What was the hardest thing that you had to learn? Like it took you a long time to try to figure out.
I would just say probably the speed that you have to
Mm,
go at, as far as, you know, how quickly you have to move at certain times, but other times when you have to slow down the pace. So I would say the pacing was a little difficult. And then also coming from an amateur background, you know, a lot of people think you're a shooter, you know, and I do use some amateur stuff in my matches, but I had to get away from the level of shooting that I was doing in the amateur world versus how to take that and turn it into the pro level, or I'm sorry, the pro style of wrestling. So those are the two things that I probably struggled with the most.
okay.
Talk about your training now versus your training then. Like, what is so different? And you spoke earlier about your training is different, your eating habits and everything else different. Tell us what is
Yeah.
different now than versus then.
So when I first started in the business, I'm not a very tall guy. I'm you know, right at 6 feet. When I started in the business, I only weighed about 145 pounds. I was a very small, skinny kid that, you know, looked like I was a drug addict, even though I've never done any type of drugs. I looked that way just naturally. I just was not a big person. And anybody that checks out my Instagram, you can see I actually just recently did a post of how much I've changed over the past, you know, almost 5 years now. Well, 3 years of consistency, but just 5 years since, you know, the beginning of my training and everything. But just the way I approach the gym now and how I structure my workouts is different than I, you know, did before, because at first there were a lot of things that I did know, but a lot of things I had to become educated to, and I had to talk to different people that were within the business and about nutrition and everything, and how to eat and what foods to stay away from and how much my sodium intake needed to be and sugar levels and stuff like that. So there was a lot of trial and error, and I've just kind of found my niche in things now. And I'm not somebody that trains with a partner. I mean, every now and then I might work out with somebody, but I like to train by myself just because I can train at my pace and I can do the workouts that I want to do and need to do at the times I need to do them, you know. And then if my schedule changes, I don't have to worry about, you know, somebody else tagging along. I can just do my own thing, you know. So that, along with how I train in ring, like I don't take as many unnecessary bumps as I did, you know, 4 or 5 years ago. I very much pace myself because I'm not getting any younger. You know, there's a bunch of new guys coming in, a bunch of young guys coming in, and, you know, not to be one of those guys that's like, oh, let them young boys do it, but like, you know, I've taken a lot of bumps over the years, and there was a time where, you know, I was the most active person in training, whereas now I kind of take a little half step back and I get my reps in, but I like to, you know, kind of train these new guys a little bit too and help them out and help them kind of progress and give them advice. And if I see them mess up a move or their footwork's wrong or their ring position's wrong, you know, I'll jump right in there and do it, you know, but I'm not taking as many bumps as I used to. So just a lot of different things change over the years. Just, you know, kind of as you learn your body as an athlete and learn, you know, how certain things feel and stuff like that. And I've just, you know, made a lot of mental notes to myself and studied a lot of critique videos on training and on working out and stuff, and, you know, just doing research. So it's just a lot different.
Talk about people in the business that you've had the opportunity to work with that's been instrumental in your career and the growth of your career. I know you started with Ring Wars Carolina and training with
Yeah.
Eddie McCoy and learning
Yep.
different things from different guys there. But talk about some of the bigger guys. When I say bigger, you know, that's been to the
Yeah,
biggest
yeah.
stage, you know, that you've been had the opportunity to work with that's been instrumental in your career now.
So I would say one of the major components of people that I've had a chance to work around and pick his brain, and I haven't had the chance to wrestle yet, but I'm not giving it up, would definitely be EC3. I got hooked up with him back in 22, I think. Yeah. The summer of 22, I had met him slightly before that, very mild conversation, but then I was actually down in Orlando with you, Vic, and some other guys, a guy named Dante Smiley from out of Texas, August Artois, who's out of Florida, Fodder, who's a Northern North Carolina guy, who actually he and I started training around the same time at Ring Wars. But being around EC3, and then Austin Aries was down there, and I had a chance to pick his brain and talk to him a little bit. Braun Strowman was there at the time, so I had a chance to kind of be around him and talk to him. I've done some seminars and had a chance to work around Tom Latimer and Jeremiah Plunkett, the Andersons, CW, Preston Quinn, those guys. Vic has been a big part of my career. I had a chance to work with him for almost a year, actually. We worked a program for almost a year, and he helped me grow tremendously and get a lot more comfortable in the ring doing stuff that I probably wouldn't have done before. Even though this next guy I'm going to name, he's been catching some flack lately, but from my personal opinion, two of the best matches I've ever had in my career were against Rob Killjoy. And, he actually got me to do some things that I didn't know if I could do, but he was confident in it, and he kind of coached me through it, so he was very instrumental. James Anthony's been a very good heel for me in my career. He's made me look very good as a babyface. Jim Stone, Flex Simmons, also known as Matthew Ennis or whatever he's going by nowadays. He's been big for me. And then Caribbean Tiger. Those are the guys that I've worked with the most and that I'm the closest to that have really, helped me change, the way I saw the business, the way I approached it, how I studied for it, how I prepared. Everybody I just named right there, I'm not somebody that sits around and just doesn't give people credit. I mean, there's a lot of people that have made my career what it is and gave me the opportunity and positioned me to succeed. Eddie's biggest thing with me always was trial by fire. I'm going to put you out there and you're either going to succeed or you're going to fall flat. And either way, it's going to be on you. And I didn't quite understand it when I was, young and fresh in my career. But as I've been around, I'm thankful for that because it was able to push me to the position that I am now and to be as confident in the ring as I am now. And when I walk in other locker rooms, I don't care who's there. I don't care who's on the card. I know what my job is, and I'm going to do it. And, I'm going to sell some tickets and put some asses in some seats. So,
Oh, man. I'm going to stir the pot a little bit. What was your favorite move to do to Roosevelt?
Man, we had I can't remember how many matches we had, but all of them were different. There was just different stuff in there. Some of the stuff was his idea. Other stuff was stuff that I put in, and if I said something and he wasn't sure about it, he'd tweak it a little bit, and we'd pay it off later. So I don't know if I had a favorite move. We just had good matches. Like the chemistry was there. There was a lot of tension, but there was also a lot of respect. Like it was a very professional level of respect because he knew he could trust me, and I knew that I could trust him. And he's actually the first guy I ever hit with a chair.
That's progress.
He's the first guy that I ever hit with a steel chair, and I protected him. I gave him a good lick, but I protected him. So that was probably the best part.
Yeah, not to flip out your lungs.
I have to show that clip. It's one of the craziest clips in Ring Wars Carolina too. Like when you see it, you're like, "God, dog, your head on your shoulders." Yeah, my head.
That's that baseball right there, boy. Swinging for the fences. Oh man. Sure. Talk about how you got your characters. Like, how did you develop your characters along your career?
So it's funny because back when me and Vic were in our rivalry was early in my career. When I first started, before I became True Grit Alex Bryant, I was the Playboy Alex Bryant. And that stemmed from when the guys I was training with and people that trained me discovered that I had an acting and a modeling background. They were like, oh, okay, this is going to be super easy. But they threw some of the most god-awful names at me. And I was like, yeah, absolutely not. And I was actually at training one day, and I was talking to Jim Stone. and we were just having a casual conversation. You know, we've had our beefs and our rivalry in the ring, but outside of the ring, there's a lot of mutual respect, and I consider him a very, very close friend and a brother, you know, in this world. But we were just having casual conversation, and he said, he was talking about me having a thick Southern accent and being a light-skinned guy from South Carolina, and he was like, "Man, I bet you sure were a playboy back in the day." And I said, "That's it."
That's it.
So
That's the one.
I had that part. I had playboy, but I was like, "What is my name going to be?" Because, you know, I just don't think that my shoot name is extremely marketable. So around this time, Kobe Bryant had just passed away. And I always respected Kobe's Mamba mentality. And that's how I wanted to approach wrestling and training and stuff, was the same mentality. So I was like, I want to use Bryant. But then I needed a first name because I was like, Bryant's not really cool for a first name, but I'll use it as a last name. And my cousin, who I had mentioned earlier, is involved in the business. He had done some work with WCW back in the day, and one of his favorite people to work with and to train with was Alex Wright. And so he mentioned to me, he was like, "Man, if you were 6'4", you would look just like Alex Wright, minus the blonde hair or whatever." He's like, "But you guys have a similar build. You'll probably wrestle a similar style." And I thought about that, and I was like, Alex Bryant works. So I was the Playboy Alex Bryant up until December of 23 was the last time I wrestled as the Playboy Alex Bryant. And then I returned to Ring Wars Carolina, and the debut of True Grit Alex Bryant, you know, came to fruition that January last year in 24. But I actually got that gimmick directly from EC3. And we spent, oh my gosh, man, we spent a year and a half bouncing ideas back and forth about, you know, what True Grit was and what it was supposed to be, and, you know, what direction he wanted the character to go, how the promos were going to be cut, you know, and the style I needed to wrestle, how I needed to carry myself, you know, walking to and from the ring. I mean, you know, it's 100% his brainchild. You know, it was just up to me to bring it into fruition. And, you know, it took me a while to kind of get a grasp on it, but just kind of my mentality of how I approach everyday life and how I do carry myself, and, you know, my look and everything else, you know, and the character is supposed to be like David Goggins, you know, where it's like all gas, no brakes, don't be a punk ass bitch around me and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like no excuses. That's the character. And he was like, "Man, that's just the vibe that you give me through conversation and how I've seen you train and I've seen you work and how you apply yourself." He's like, "I mean, if you want to be the Playboy, cool, but any good looking dude can put on some tight ass trunks and be the Playboy." And I was like, he was like, "It's super generic, bro." He's like, "There's been a Playboy in every era of some form or fashion." He was like, "Don't be that. Like, be you. Like, just be who you are on 10. And, you know, he gave it to me, man, and kind of christened me with it. And I was able to kind of pick it up and run and get it over. So that's where the characters came from.
Oh man, listen, we gonna speak up for the light skinned brother. We'll still smack the shit out you. Yeah,
Please believe.
yeah, please believe it. Don't get it twisted. Just cause I'm caramel cut flavored, you know what I'm saying? I'll still smack the shit out you. You gotta, yeah. Light skinned brothers band together.
Yeah. Y'all slapping people with gloves. Y'all still doing that shit?
you gotta keep the hands, you know, nice for the ladies. That's what that is. That's what that is.
Soft and moisturized. Okay.
Can't be ashy around these parts.
No, can't do that.
Oh man.
Talk about some aspirations you have for your career. Like, what do you see yourself in the next 5 years in terms of your professional wrestling career?
So this new WWE ID program, I think, is pretty freaking awesome, right? You know, and there's some names of some guys in there that I know that are, you know, already got picked up or whatever, and that's awesome, man. I love to see that, you know, because I don't knock anybody for getting their opportunity, but I'm definitely working towards that. I would think, you know, within the next year or so, I'd love to get a contract from NWA and get a chance to do some stuff with them and kind of, you know, I've wrestled in one of their territories, and I'm actually about to debut at another one of their territories in February. So my goal is, if I can cover all the territories and do good work, you know, maybe the big man, you know, Mr. Corrigan will be like, "Hey, you know, I keep seeing this guy on those flyers, and I keep seeing his name on these rosters, and
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he needs a shot to do some stuff. And I've had a chance to work with a lot of those guys. So I'm hoping if I just keep kicking that can down the road, I'd love to do some extra work for WWE just to kind of get in there and show face, have my name in the system. I'd love to do the same thing with AEW. I'd love to do some dark stuff for them, and potentially get in at Ring of Honor. I'd love to get in at Ring of Honor and see if I can get Caprice to come off that commentary table and go one-on-one with me one time. That'd be awesome, just because I have so much love and I respect Caprice so much that would be pretty dope. And I love Ring of Honor, man, and the history and the guys that have come through there. I'd love to get a chance to do that. I know Vic's been on Ring of Honor. That's pretty dope. You know what I'm saying? First generation. You know what I'm saying? Wrestling Shane Taylor. Like, what? That's dope, but
Yeah.
I would love to get an opportunity to do some stuff like that. So I'm hoping, man, within the next 3 to 5 years, I definitely would love to be in that WWE system, whether it's, through the ID program or if I'm in NXT or whatever it is, but within the next year or two, man, I definitely want to see if I can do something big with NWA and get some extra spots and maybe a dark match or two. I think that'd be pretty dope because there's some guys I'd love to wrestle there, and just keep kicking the can down the road, man, and become a force on the indies that like people can't ignore anymore, where they're like, okay, yeah, he's one of those guys. Like we're gonna have to do something with him,
Yeah. I think wrestling is as hot as it's ever been, man. And for the independent scenes, I really didn't know much about the independent scenes until I started seeing a lot of the local shows. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And now I see that a lot of the same guys kind of wrestle on the same cards. And, they're making, I think it's a good time to be a wrestler. You know what I'm saying? And
Oh
it's
yeah,
a good
man.
time to be a
Absolutely.
wrestling fan.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And that's one thing. I didn't really know much about the indies until I got involved. But one thing I learned very quick is when you start traveling around and you're getting booked a decent amount, the people that you see continuously are the most trusted people. They're the ones getting booked. They're the safe people. They're the people that somebody like Vic can go to a promoter and say, hey, I see you're bringing in this guy. I'll work with him. Or he's respected enough if he says, I'm not getting in the ring with that guy. Promoters will say, okay, Vic, no problem. Because he's earned that, right? Like he's been around. He's worked on big stages. He's been all over the world. He's traveled. He's very much respected. And, I respect that a lot about him, because he had the opportunity to say no to me, but he told those guys yes, and it helped project my career. So, when you start traveling around the indies a lot, and you'll see certain names pop up, and people will say, oh, I'd hate to know I had to get in a ring with that guy, or they'll say, oh, man, I get to work with him. Oh, that's easy, bro. Yeah, any day of the week. You want to be that guy. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Talk about support, and one of the biggest things I've saw with you is the level of support you have in your career. And one of the biggest supporters, one of your biggest fans, if not the biggest fan, is your mom.
Oh, dude.
Your mom is top of the food, is top shelf
Yeah.
when it comes to Alex Bryant. Talk about what that's like, having your mom out there in the crowd, cheering you on, watching you work a match, and being there to support you in everything that you do.
Yeah, man. I mean, my mom was always one of those people, man. Like even going back to like my little league days and stuff. Like I had mentioned before, like my dad wasn't around. My mom and my grandparents. And then my mom married my stepdad when I was 15, and he was always, at all my athletic events and stuff. And he's a big time wrestling fan. So when I first got started, I would say there was probably a little bit of uncertainty just because they had no idea. They didn't know about the indies and stuff like that. I mean, all they knew was NWA and WWE and the old WCW and stuff like that. That's all they knew. So there was some uncertainty. And when they first started coming to shows, you could kind of see they were trying to figure out the crowd. And, but one thing about my mom is she's always going to let you know who her son is. Win, lose, or draw, doesn't matter what's going on. If I'm kicking somebody's ass or I happen to be getting my ass kicked, she's going to let you know, like, that's my son right there. That's my baby. You know what I mean? So, it's pretty awesome to be able to know that she's out there and she knows when my music hits, and she, is going to be one of the loudest people in the room, and she's going to tell people, and she's going to wear the shirt with my name on it. And, she's going to share the flyers and comment on the videos and everything, to let people know, like, that's my son right there. And now the good thing for me is like, my brother and sister-in-law, they don't come to a lot of shows. They've only been to a couple, but like my nephew is a big wrestling fan. And to him, I'm not Alex Bryant. I'm Uncle G. You know what I mean? And when he comes to my house, he'll say, "G, I want to see you fight." I'm like, okay. So I put on one of my matches or something. He'll say, "G, you won," or whatever. And he'll stand up on the couch and put his hands up and he'll say, "Me won. This is what you do when you win, G." So that's cool as hell to me to see him do that. And he's playing with like my old action figures that me and my brother had as kids. He's doing that now. And I can see him cheering and waving at me from ringside and stuff like that. So that's the cool thing for me is just to see, my family gets to see me in a different light, because to them, I'm just, me every day. But then when they come to these shows or they see me on these flyers or they see these companies promoting me, it's like, oh, that's my son right there. My brother can be like, that's my brother, that's my grandson, whoever. That's pretty awesome to me, man, is just to see that because I give them something to look forward to and to come see. And, my mom was there for my biggest moments. I mean, my first title win, my mom was right there. When I won the AIWF Top Gun tournament, I'm the inaugural winner, the first guy to ever win that tournament. It's me. She was there for that. Like she was there for the cage match. And, anytime I've ever had a big victory or anything like that, or even when I suffered terrible losses, she was the first one there. You know what I mean? So it's awesome to have her there, man, because I know she loves it and she just loves she loves getting to see me do what she knows I've always loved, even dating back to being a kid. So it's awesome, man.
Absolutely. One of the biggest memories I have from your mom showing up to a show is during our feud when I took you and I laid you right in front of her, and it was just like the look on her face is like, if you don't get your hands off my son, I'm gonna beat your ass. And I felt that.
I'm gonna kick his ass in the parking lot.
I always tell people, I tell people this all the time. If you want to be a good heel and you want to become like extremely heat filled as a heel, just wrestle me one-on-one while my mom's at ringside. That's all you got to do. I promise you will be a heat-seeking missile.
Yeah. You got to make it to the car, though. You got to make it to the car. I don't think.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Oh man, you mentioned some people that you used to watch growing up, like The Rock and a couple of other people. Man, who did you pattern your wrestling style after?
One of the absolute, I don't care what anybody says, one of the absolute greatest of all time. First ballot Hall of Famer. Should have been world champion, but he wasn't. Got done dirty, in my opinion, but he's had a long career. And I can't wait till he's inducted into the Hall of Fame. And I hope before he retires, I get to wrestle him. And he's also a South Carolina native, straight out of Orangeburg. And that's my man, Shelton Benjamin. That's my guy. That's my guy. I mean, he was just because there's not a lot of guys from South Carolina that make it to that level, right? Like the big shows from South Carolina, okay, cool. The Fabulous Moolah, she's from South Carolina, that's cool. But like Shelton Benjamin was the guy in Ruthless Aggression. There was a lot of people in that era that I really liked. And I love The Rock, but Shelton Benjamin, man, just because he's from my state, he was awesome, phenomenal athlete, strong, fast, quick, had great matches against so many people, Intercontinental champion, United States champion, tag team champion, like I said, should have been world champion. So he was one of my biggest influences. And then I would say early days to mid-level days, TNA, AJ Styles. And that's just because, I'm right at 6 feet. So I'm not Randy Orton height, The Rock height, Triple H height. I'm not that. I'm not even Stone Cold's height, but I'm the same height as AJ Styles. You know what I mean? And the stuff he was doing, man, and how he was just able to revolutionize, he inspired an entire generation. I don't care what anybody says. He was the inspiration behind a lot of guys, myself included, thinking we can do this because it went from thinking like, oh, this is the land of giants to seeing guys like him and Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley and Christopher Daniels, do this stuff and at a high level and being world champions. So those were probably my biggest two influences. I pulled some stuff from Booker T, in my moveset. Like I do a scissor kick. Sometimes I do he did like the side kick. What was it called? The Harlem side kick or whatever.
Yeah.
I do a version of that as well. So different people. My finishing move comes from The Rock, just because it's easy and I can hit it on anybody. So different people, man. And it also depends who I'm wrestling and what kind of match I'm wrestling. Like, if I got to get in there and wrestle like, a Kurt Angle, I can. But if I need to get in there and wrestle like Terry Funk, I can do that too. So just depending. But those are the main guys that I really pulled most of my stuff from.
Oh, man, I think you're a little bit of a historian, man, because you know a lot of great wrestlers, man. And I can see your taste in wrestlers. You know what I'm saying? I always like to see
Yeah, for
who
sure.
people actually like and who they pattern themselves after, man.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's awesome. Well, listen, before you got on the show, Roosevelt said some unkind things about your big toe.
Good Lord.
Yeah. We got this thing on the show where we allowed you to do some verbal battles back and forth.
Okay.
We used to call it promo school, but I want you to cut a scathing promo against Roosevelt. And since you guys already have a history, I want you to kind of bring that into the fold. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
This is going to be a verbal battle for
So
supremacy.
are we gonna is this like an in-ring back and forth where I'm gonna say my shtick and then he says his, or are you gonna let him kind of crucify me and I'm supposed to come back? Like how do you want to set this up?
You're going to go first and go ahead and cut your
Okay.
promo, and I'm going to follow up and put you behind the bed.
Okay, how long does it need to be? We shooting for something normal like 30 to 45 seconds, something like that?
You can keep it as long as you want to,
Okay.
but we usually do it up to like a minute. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? If you want to,
Okay, do you want to structure it like it's just like it's a like we're getting this to a boiling point, or do you want me to cut it in the sense of like we have like if
I
we
want
had
you
an
to
upcoming
like you got a show coming up
I want
and
you
y'all
to
about to fight,
this,
and
this isn't like a traditional cutting a promo because you're getting ready
Right.
for a show for a company.
Okay.
I want you to be you, Alex Bryant, True Grit, and I want you to tell me what you feel.
Oh, okay. I mean, well, this is why I asked, because depending on what we're going towards, that's kind of how I structure the promo. If it's like a match or a debut, or it like if you've been talking reckless or something, like I just need to know what direction I'm going. So that
all
when
right.
I
So how
start,
about this,
you know what I'm saying?
Roosevelt? You go first.
All right.
Oh,
So
okay.
all right, and then Alex, you come back with a scorcher of a rebuttal, sir.
Okay.
You ready? All right. Beautiful people, prepare yourself. We are going to war.
Everybody has a past. You could agree. Am I right, Alex? Everyone has a past. And you've known me from the past. But see, this moment right here isn't about you and I. It's not about you and I right now. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to go back to Ring Wars, Carolina. Out there in Fayetteville, North Carolina. I want you to go and tell your friends, your buddies, your trainees, your trainers, all the guys that you step in the ring with, whether it be Wednesday, whether it be Sunday. And I want you to tell them what it was like stepping in the ring with Victor Andrews. I want you to tell them how bad your body felt at the end of the night, whatever the match was, whether it was win, lose, or draw, how you felt by the end of the night. I want you to tell them how much you've hurt. I want you to tell them how much you've cried. I want you to tell them how you had to run home and ask your family to nurse your wounds. And then I want you to tell them that is nothing compared to what Roosevelt is capable of. Because, see, Alex, you stepped in the ring with a man who had everything. Now I want you to tell them that if you step in the ring with this version of me, they, as well as you, if you like, will find out firsthand that my name is Roosevelt and I like to fight.
All right. Woo.
Okay.
Woo. Woo. Got some cheers with that one. Got some cheers with it.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I like that.
Oh man, true grit.
I like the way you built that up. I love the way you. Let me just say this. I'm gonna get into mine, but I just want to say I like the way, because this is a conversation Vic and I have had before. I like the way you went back, you pulled a little bit, and then you just sprinkled it into who you are today and why you are that way. Because it's funny, because you said had everything. You know what I mean? Like, you almost spoke about it in the past tense. You know what I mean? Not to say you lost it or anything like that. It's just like, that's who you were, and it molded you into who you are now, which is Roosevelt. You know what I mean? So, and it's funny because you did a play on my name a long time ago where you said, I ain't nothing to play with, boy. You know what I mean? I like the way you took that and you sprinkled that in. That was nice because you paid it back. You know what I'm saying? So I like that. I like that stuff. That's good stuff. That's good stuff right there. I like that.
True, get what you
got. You know, they say that we all grow in this life and that we grow within this business and we adapt and we overcome. But what they don't tell you is all the trials and tribulations that you have to go through in order to get where you are today. Now, what you see before you is a man, a well-groomed man who has been places and done things and been around people. And he's become quite gritty in his style. But there once was a time where he was not so grizzled of a person. And he was new and he was fresh-faced and he was clean-cut and he had a glimmer in his eye. And they called him the Playboy. And he had the unfortunate task of crossing paths with a man that they said had everything. And for about 8 months to a year, that man had to watch his back because the man with everything was everywhere and around every corner. And they battled. Oh boy, did they battle. But at the end of the day, when you hit that man with everything, it actually didn't amount to anything because Alex Bryant was the winner. And honestly, Roosevelt, I think that has lived within your mind for the past couple years, because since then, I haven't seen you in Ring Wars Carolina, and we've only ever shared one other locker room. But we didn't wrestle each other. We had different opponents. Now, if I had to say so, you've got a little more pull with promoters than I do. If you wanted to fight me so bad again, why didn't you just ask? Oh, wait. You don't have to answer. I'll tell you. Because you know that the man you once fought doesn't exist anymore. And this new man, this gritty man, Alex Bryant, is a completely different animal. And that cage that I used to be within where I was trying to be the nice guy and shake the hands and kiss the babies, well, I ripped the damn door off that cages now. And a grown man emerged. And when you see me across that locker room and you watch me lace up those boots, and you know that I'm not that young boy anymore that's running up to Roosevelt to get advice and to get answers to questions and to pay attention to your routine, you know I've got my own routine. I've got my own path. I forged it. You were a casualty on that path. But if you ever let it cross your mind you want to cross that bridge again, just know that true grit versus Roosevelt is money. But you better lace those boots tight and bring back those yellow gloves that you used to wrap your hands with, because you're going to need them.
Left the gun smoking, Jack.
Now, real quick.
Okay.
That feeling that you felt just then,
yeah,
that's what you need to carry every time.
Yes, sir.
You get
Absolutely.
me?
Yes, sir.
That was true grit in its natural form. It wasn't something that you had to rehearse in your mind who you wanted to be. It wasn't something where you had to figure out, okay, this is what I want to say, this is what I need to say, this is how it needs to come off. It needs to come off so natural that it is just you. And that's how I became Roosevelt, right? Real quick, Sir Mo had me on the show, put me on the flyer, put my real name on there before I became Roosevelt. And I contacted him. I said, hey, I don't wrestle as Roosevelt. I wrestle as Victor Andrews. And he said, oh, well, be mad, cut a promo. I'm not changing it. And so in that moment, I said, you know what? Okay. And I did the promo, and it felt so natural because I didn't have to be a character. I just had to be me and portray what I was feeling in that moment. And that's what you just did. You were able to portray what you were feeling in that moment, and that's how you need to carry it on. And that's what's going to take you to the next level. You're already there in terms of style, athleticism, talent, professionalism. Your promos have always been great, but now you have that feeling in your chest and in the bottom of your gut to say, you know what, I can go anywhere and do just exact thing and be undeniable. And I'm so proud.
100%. 100%. That, and it's funny that you said that because that's one of my things. Like I remember I used to have this dry erase board on my refrigerator in my house when I first started training and working out. And it said, get bigger, get faster, get stronger, become undeniable. That's what it said. And I would read that every morning before I left to go to work, and that was just my motivation. I would look at that board every time I left to go to a show, every time I left to go to a training session, whatever it was, I would look at that board. So it's funny you say that because that's definitely one of my things that I keep in the back of my mind is to make sure that, no matter who says what, I don't care. I really don't, not anymore. I know that I bust my ass. So it's my whole goal is to become undeniable to anybody, and for people say like, oh, I don't see it. You ain't got to see it. Oh man, I ain't feeling it. You ain't got to feel it. Somebody will. And when they do, you're going to have to watch them reap the benefits of what comes next while you stand by. That's how I look at it.
Oh man. The undeniable Alex Bryant. No, they got to read 2 and 2 shit. Yeah. Absolutely, man. Oh man, listen. Where do you? I want to see this battle between y'all again. Maybe we can make something. Somebody book it, damn it. Somebody book it.
Somebody's got to book it. If they're gonna book it, they better have their checkbook ready.
I know that's right. You know what I'm saying? We talk money in this bitch. I'm sorry.
I ain't lying.
What's the biggest lesson that you've learned from the wrestling business?
Man, the biggest lesson I learned? That's a tough one. I would say I've learned a lot of little lessons that paint the picture to be bigger. You know what I mean? I don't know if there's just like one thing I had to learn very quick is those that smile in your face aren't always happy to see you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And jealousy runs very rampant, especially when you have some people that have been around and think that they're something that maybe they're not, maybe they are, but maybe they aren't. And then they see a new, fresh person getting opportunities to do things, it can turn them against you. And then also, mofos are very cheap because they think that you're going to wrestle your whole career for $20 and that shit just doesn't work. You know what I mean? But just a lot of little lessons. But one of the main ones is something that Vic had actually just said and other people have alluded to, and that's just be yourself. Because at the end of the day, like, anybody can cosplay as a wrestler in any form or fashion. You can put on any costume, any set of trunks, and you can be anything. But nobody else can be you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it's got to be you on 10. So I feel like, that was a big thing that I had to learn because I did spend a lot of time trying to figure out how to be something else. And then when I was able to kind of grasp that me, who I am, is good enough if I crank it up to 10 and apply it, that made it so much easier and simpler. And that took a lot of weight off me. And that's a conversation that me and Vic had a couple years ago where he was like, man, because I used to be like, man, how are you so calm? Like, I'm nervous. And he's like, don't worry. He's like, one day when this shit starts clicking, you'll be calm too. And then other people will be asking you that. And that's where I am now. So, yeah, I would say just a lot of little things. Be very careful who you put your trust in at any level. Doesn't matter if they're a talent, if they're a production, if they're a promoter, doesn't matter. Be very careful who you put your trust in, so.
Absolutely. Is there a Mrs. Bryant around?
Yeah, she's over there on the computer.
Absolutely. Can you talk about does she get nervous when you wrestle? Like, does she go to yourself?
She could give a shit less. Like, she watches it with me because, like, she knows I like it and she comes to the shows just to support me. But she could really care less, bro, anything about it. Like, she doesn't ask any questions. Like, and if she does, it's like in a joking manner. You know what I mean? Like, she really doesn't care. What? Okay, the only thing she cares about in wrestling is Randy Orton. That's it.
That's understandable. That's understandable. That's legendary wrestler. That's the RKO. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I mean, she probably does get a little bit, but I don't think it's enough. Like, I think she trusts me enough, and she knows that, like, I really do. Like, I study it a lot, and she sees that, and she sees me, like, training and staying in the gym or whatever. And I mean, there's probably been some times where she was like, holding her breath a little bit about some stupid shit I was probably doing. But, for the most part, I think she trusts me well enough, that she thinks I can take care of myself. So,
Absolutely. And up until this point, you haven't had any issues as far as
actually,
injuries?
No. Thank God, no. The only thing I had was a couple years ago, and it didn't even happen in the ring. I was just doing a regular, like, workout at home. Well, not at home, but at the gym. And I tore a muscle in my back, and that was terrible. And I actually wrestled on it for about 6 months and didn't tell anybody because I was just like, in a title picture, and I was like, if I tell them I'm injured now, it's going to take me a year. And I was like, I don't have time for that shit. So I just, like, I iced it down, every day. And I changed up how I did my back workouts to kind of stay away from it or at least be light on it. But thankfully, knock on wood, I haven't nothing major, thank God,
Oh, man, I'm happy about it. Do you find yourself as you get older doing more preventative training?
I would say, I'm just a little more cautious. Like, I see some of these young guys that are new, maybe been around for, 8 months, a year. They do stuff, and I'll just be in the back going, nope, glad it's y'all. It wasn't fitting to be me.
Not today.
Yeah, no. I mean, and I look back at some of the stuff I've done. Like, I've dove over the top rope to the outside. I've done stuff off the top rope. I've been in, no holds barred matches, and I've been hit. Like, I got hit in the head with a road sign during a match one time. And, like, there's certain stuff I'll do on occasion, but I always wanted to have a long career. Like, I want longevity. And, I had some injuries in high school with my knee and my left shoulder and stuff like that. So I don't push it. You know what I mean? And if something doesn't feel right, I just don't do it.
Yeah.
So I try to, and again, like I mentioned earlier, like when I'm in training, like at the, the school and stuff, I take bumps and I'll do stuff and I'll have mini matches, but I don't do as much as I used to because I don't have to. You know what I mean? Like, I train and I know I bust my ass and, I work pretty hard in the gym, but I do that to prepare my body for the trauma. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right.
So, yeah, a little more conservative than I was probably, 2 or 3 years ago, for sure.
Yeah. What you learn from, you learn from your body. You know what I'm saying?
Man, I'm telling you.
Yeah, I realized that, the more that I would put on weight or, if I wasn't stretching, everything hurt. I would pull a muscle getting out of bed. You know what I'm saying? So now I gotta, I gotta train to keep my body prepared. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for
And so
sure.
I understand that's why you do that. All right, well, I want to start some more shit, man. You from South Carolina. I'm originally from North Carolina. Let's get into it, man. Who got a better barbecue?
It depends on where you go because, like, there's only a couple spots where I've actually had barbecue in South Carolina because, I mean, it just, I love barbecue, but my family had like pig pickings growing up. So I always ate
Yeah,
homemade barbecue and stuff. So
yeah,
going out and getting it, I was always like, my uncles do better,
yeah,
So,
yeah.
there's one spot in South Carolina that's like pretty much world famous, and it's called Scott's Barbecue. And
Scott's.
if you drove by this place, man, it's like that's it right there. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
it was only about 40 minutes from my actual hometown, and I've never even eaten it. Never
Mm,
eaten it. But everybody I've ever spoken to, I've eaten at a bunch of other, like places or whatever. Like there's a place called Schuler's. It's in Latta, South Carolina. There used to be a place called Prosser's Barbecue. It was a buffet down in Murrells Inlet. It was pretty good. I'm actually about to go to a place in Kingstree, South Carolina called Brown's Barbecue. And it actually was on a page that I saw on Facebook the other day. That's how I discovered it. But
okay.
they've all been good to me. So I can't really. I know that's like a very big argument or whatever, but honestly, I don't know, man. I guess it's whatever mustard based, vinegar based, you know what I mean? Whatever you want, man. Like whatever, to each their own, So
Yeah, I think you hit on something. The best barbecue that I've ever had has always been homemade. You know what I'm saying? And it's usually been at somebody's house. And,
yeah,
my family has the tradition of the men cook. Like we grill, you know what I'm saying? And
yeah,
so
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I make a mean turkey barbecue. You know what I'm saying?
Man, listen,
Man,
I got a. We recently bought a Blackstone. Man, I be letting it ride, cuz I ain't even gonna lie. But no, so my family, up until my great grandmother passed away, my family had two pig pickings a year. We would have one at Thanksgiving and one at Christmas. So
mhm,
I ate that my whole life, and there were some local people around my hometown because I grew up in a very small farm town, two red lights. You know what I mean?
mhm,
Um, a lot of local people around there, they made their own, like, they called it sopping sauce because you would sop the barbecue with the sauce. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
they made their own sopping sauce, man. So I've had so many different versions. I love barbecue. I'm just not one of those people. Like, I wouldn't say I'm a barbecue critic. I could probably tell you better steakhouses better than I could tell you barbecue restaurants just
barbecue
because,
recipe.
you know what I mean? When I go to the barbecue buffet, I'm just violating the hell out of my diet, but I don't care. you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I know it's hard to keep up with your diet too when you're in certain places, you know what I'm saying? Where
Man,
I know I grew up in small towns and it wasn't a lot of healthy options in town that you can
right.
actually get food from. So when you're trying to train, you have to be really disciplined.
Well,
And
the one thing that helped me, I guess, was like I said, my family was really country. I grew up on my great grandparents' old farm. So, we grew a lot of our vegetables. I've had fresh chicken straight off the yard. You know what I mean? So, before they went through a factory and had a chance to be doctored up and all that shit, like, my family still puts up vegetables every year. I mean, butter beans and okra and tomatoes, corn, and I've done all that as a kid. I remember sitting on, outside on a giant ass sheet with my great grandma and my mama, and we
mm,
shelling beans, or we shucking corn, or we cutting up tomatoes because we putting up tomatoes for the year, okra, collard greens, cabbage, radishes, potatoes, you name it, man. So people, they hear me talking, they like, man, is that part of your gimmick? I'm like, nah, dog, I'm really from the country.
this is real, run
I'm
deep.
really
You
from
know
yeah.
what I'm saying?
This is real right here. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely,
Also,
yeah.
little bit of history for y'all. So, when Ric Flair beat Harley Race for the belt in the steel cage match in Greensboro, my great
Mm.
grandparents were sitting ringside.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah,
That's dope. You know what I'm saying? So you got a little bit of that in your blood, man. You try
for
to
sure,
act like
man.
it just came out of nowhere. Nah, you got a little bit of that in your blood. Yeah.
For
I
sure,
thought
man.
I was the only one that really watched wrestling. I think I grew up in the '80s, man. So I think the thing that got me into wrestling was like I used to see the wrestling buddies. You know what I'm saying? The little
Oh
dolls,
yeah,
the little girl dolls. And
right.
back then, the Macho Man and the Hulk Hogan and who else was this?
My
The
cousin still
Undertaker.
has his original Hulk Hogan one right now to this day. He
Really?
has his original. Yep, he has his original one. His mom always kept it for him, and she actually recently passed away, and he's got it now. But it's the original Hulk Hogan Wrestle Buddy
Okay.
way back in the day. Yep.
He might want to hold on to it. It might be worth some money, but it is Hulk Hogan, so he might want to burn that bitch too. So we don't know. So he can go. He can go either way. He can go either way.
For sure.
Oh man. Well, listen, man. This has been a great interview, man, and it's great to learn more about you, and I'm really invested into seeing what you're doing, my brother. And we got this thing where, for some reason, people that come on this show, if they're wrestlers, usually they win a title, either like right before or right after this podcast.
Oh, yeah.
So I see some gold in your future. I'm saying it, damn it, it's gonna happen. Yeah,
I hope so, man. I want to go on a tour this year. I want to collect as many as I can, get paid to do it, meet some people, and you know what I'm saying. That's the whole goal, man. Is just to make 2025 a good year for Alex Bryant. That's my whole goal every day when I get up. So yeah,
absolutely. Have you wrestled outside the country yet?
I have not, man. I've been all the way out west to California. I've been all the way as far north as Cleveland, Ohio, down to Florida a couple times. Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, Tennessee. I'd love to go to Texas. I've been talking to some people about, I'm about to get my passport. So I've been talking to some people about trying to go to Puerto Rico, maybe the UK. I actually was talking to a guy recently. Austin Aries is trying to put a Saudi Arabia tour together. I'm like, sounds like some fat ass paychecks to me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, trying to make something shake, man, for sure.
Absolutely, man.
Well, I got some connections. I got some international connections for you, so we're gonna make some things happen.
That's what I'm talking about right there. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Good old Shock the World tour. That's what I'm trying to go on.
Man, I love that, man. Absolutely. But look, you have been dropping jewels this entire podcast, man, and we like to do this thing on the show called Final Word. And it's a way for you to give a little bit of motivation, a quote that you have heard, or a lesson that you've learned, something positive, man. So, Alex Bryant, do you have a final word for the beautiful people?
I would just say, no matter where you're from, no matter how you grew up, no matter what your environment was, your background, your family history, regardless of any of that, don't ever let a soul walk in the face of this earth tell you that you can't do anything. Because when you set your mind to it and you bust your ass and you work towards it and you study it and you apply yourself consistently, like Kevin Garnett said, man, anything is possible.
Absolutely.
One more. I got one more. This is my favorite. Just remember, everyone is the villain in somebody else's story.
Here. Absolutely.
Those are my two right there.
Oh, man. That is the final word from your boy, Alex Bryant.
The one and the
belt. Do you have a final word for your beautiful people?
Yes. Actually, I have a question for you guys. Do you guys believe in ghosts?
Yeah, of course.
All right. So that little thing.
Hold on. Time out. We're black. Of course we believe in ghosts.
I've read from many a place because I thought something was in there. Yeah.
But just think of the things that you are supposed to do in this life, and that you don't do them. You will be reminded by the ghosts of the past to let you know to get your ass off that couch and go and do it, because it was given to you to be done. And if you let it die with you, it'll never have a chance to live. So believe in the ghosts of your past in order to be present in today, so you can make ways for the future. That's my final word for the best damn nation.
Who you gonna call? Huh?
You know what I'm saying?
Who you gonna call? Yeah, that is the final word from your boy, Roosevelt. Uh, I'm gonna go old school, man. Damn, I thought I had my glasses on. I like to wear my glasses.
Yeah.
There was a song by Goody Mob called "Get Up, Get Out, and Get Something." I think I'm just going to echo the same sentiments that you guys have. Um, you you need to get up, get out, and get something in your life. Things that you want to accomplish, things that you want to do this year. This is a powerful year for money. It's a powerful year to be able to create opportunities while you still can before AI take over everything. You know what I'm saying? So anything that you want to have this year, go after it. Any goals that you want to accomplish this year, go do it. You know what I'm saying? So get your ass up, get out, and get something in 2025 because everybody else is. You know what I'm saying? That is a final word from your boy,
Right.
Brian Renegade. Oh, man. Listen, it's a great show. Alex Bryant, the undeniable true grit. Alex Bryant. What you got going on and where can the people find you?
Oh man, so you guys can find me on Instagram at real_Alex Bryant. You can find me on Twitter at real_Alex Bryant. You can find me on Facebook. Just go to the search bar, type in Alex Bryant Pro Wrestler. And I'm on there. You can see clips of matches. You can see highlights from me working with Austin Aries and EC3. You can catch workout videos and training montages. You can see the supplements that I take. You can find out anything you want to know about the man they call Alex Bryant. And always remember, I'm the one and the only true grit, Alex Bryant.
Absolutely. The one, not the two, Jack. You know what I'm saying?
Not the 1, 2, or the 3. You know what I'm saying?
That's it. Roosevelt, what you guys going on and where can the people find you?
Yeah, man. This weekend I got some filming to do. Next weekend, February 1st, I will be in Lumberton, North Carolina for Ring Wars Carolina. Alice, are you going to be there?
No, sir. I'm going to get fitted for tuxes for my wedding, so I will not be there.
Great. Congratulations.
You gonna keep that pertinent information away from the boys.
He's gonna hear about it as soon as he get off this podcast.
He gonna hear about it. Man, go ahead and shout your beautiful fiance out, your wife to be.
Oh yeah, man! I'm about to get married to a beautiful brunette bombshell in about 4 months. Don't come over here in the camera. Get out the camera. Yeah, Mrs. Bryant incoming. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, man. Congratulations, my brother. You know what I'm saying? Welcome to the club. You know what I mean? Come on.
Sir.
Yeah, it's comfortable over here. I don't know what single people do when your back start itching and you can't scratch that shit. I don't know what single people do.
I'm trying to tell you.
Congratulations, man. I wish you much happiness, blessings, man, and a great life with your beautiful wife, man. Congratulations.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. The real men stepping up. True grit in this bitch. I'm sorry. Oh, man. But listen, I want you to help me end the show, okay?
Okay.
So I'm going to say we will see you next week on the next best. And I want you to say the word damn. But I want you to give me that true grit damn.
Oh, man. Okay.
I want you to give me an undeniable damn. You know what I'm saying? From the pits of your soul, you got to dig deep. You know what I'm saying? To give me one of them Ron Simmons like dams or damn the only true grit can do. You dig?
Yeah.
All right. We got this. You ready?
Yeah. I think so. Right. I hope so.
That's it. Beautiful people, best damnation. We will see you next week on the next best.
Damn.
Woo, that was good. Wrestling podcast. Alex Bryant. Man, it was a pleasure having you on. You are a gentleman and a scholar, sir. You know what I'm saying? All of your content that you post, we're gonna share it, man, with the best damn nation, man, and so people can get to love you like we does, man. You are a member of the best damn crew, man, and you can come on anytime that you want to and talk shit with your boys, man. We appreciate you.
I love it, man. I appreciate y'all boys letting me be on the platform, man. I appreciate the invite. I know it's a very, very select crew. You know what I mean? So to be included on that, man, is awesome. So I really appreciate y'all boys giving me a chance to get on here and just, speak freely and have good interactive conversation, good questions. I respect the hell out of the platform, man. Real shit. Thank y'all boys.
I appreciate it, man. Next time we see you, you're gonna have some gold on your finger and some gold around your waist.
Man,
You know what I'm saying?
I hope it's a whole bunch. You know what I mean?
Dripping gold. Yeah, all gold, everything. All right.
Like Trinidad James.
That's it. That's it. Oh, man, we can't hold you no longer. Follow us on all our platforms. Thank you for everybody watching us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitch. Thank you for everybody that's listening to us on Radio Land, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Amazon Radio, Google Podcasts. Wherever you get your podcast, you can listen to the voice of the Best Damn Wrestling Podcast anytime they want to in your leisure. Beautiful people, we love you like step cousins. We bid you adieu.